good, everybody? Grind and Shine Recovery here. I got Colichie with me, music artist, great musician. Man, let's kind of touch base on like what you're doing and how you got down the path, you know, to get you into addiction.
Yeah, of course. My life is much different than it was when I was using, obviously. Today, I'm a loving father. I work in treatment and I do music and I'm just busy all the time. My plate is so full, but I truly am grateful for that because I can remember when I had absolutely nothing in my life and my only obligation was to get high, commit crimes, get money, go to jail, then go to rehab, go to detox, use. And this was the cycle that I did for many years, really until I was willing to give myself a chance. And, the amount of hope that I have today compared to where I once was and the person I used to be is crazy. That's why I spend my days now trying to make people see that there is another way. Because for the longest time, I really thought I was going to die a using addict, and I thought I was going to live in misery, and I thought that everyone else could change their lives, but I couldn't do it. And I just try to make people see that really we all have it inside of us. We don't have to suffer. We don't have to live in that everlasting hell, and that there really is a beautiful life waiting for us.
Yeah, no, that's for sure, man.
Mhm.
So what got you down that wrong path to where you ended up, in addiction?
I really can't pinpoint it. Obviously my entire immediate family is drug addicts and alcoholics. My sister, my mother, and my father was a heroin addict. So technically maybe it was, in our family, in our blood, but I just liked drugs and I liked escaping. And, even at a young age, I just never felt comfortable in my own skin. So when I finally found chemicals and alcohol, it really was like, oh, this is the answer. And honestly, in the beginning, it kind of really was the solution. It gave me the courage and the confidence, even though it was fake and false, it still gave me these new, I guess, like outlooks on life that I never had before. And obviously I just can do nothing in moderation. So I just used, and I always pushed the limit, even in high school, even in 9th, 10th grade. Well, everyone else would be at a party drinking 6, 7 beers. I'm in the corner trying to drink 15. That's who I always was. Go until I physically cannot go anymore, and then in my later years of addiction, even with, the crack and heroin, I would push myself, where it seriously felt like I was going to die, but I just could not stop myself from doing just one more hit, because that was my entire life. Just one more hit and I will be okay.
Yeah, no, it's sad. I know when I was using and when I was, binges to where I would be panicked and freaking out, but I'd still go ahead and take that, you know what I mean? Do that next one. Now, did you grow? So you said your family, a lot of people struggle with addiction in your family. So it's kind of natural to you, you've seen kind of the hustle and the drugs growing
Yeah,
up.
not really. So my mother left my father when I was 2 because he would not stop shooting heroin. And my mother got clean, and she was clean for my entire childhood. So she had 16 years of sobriety. So I didn't grow up in a turbulent household. I had loving grandparents that lived down the street that taught me morals and values and all of that. So I wasn't even really introduced to it from my family. I more along the lines kind of just sought it out by loving how it made me feel. And then I found the people that loved it just as much as I loved it. In so many words, that's pretty much what happened.
Yeah. One thing I definite question I want to ask you is, were you into music like when you were going through your addiction, or was this an outlet when you got into recovery?
Not really. In high school, I kind of listened to rap, and every genre. My first genre was like Led Zeppelin, The Doors. Like all classic rock, and then it was like '94, like alternative, like all bands from Seattle. And then, but I mean, there was a time where I probably went years without even listening to music because I was just shooting heroin and running from cops. I mean, that really was my life. I didn't really listen to music. So as far as composing music and all that, I started that around the age of 23, and I first got clean for probably the first time, and I left outpatient, and I got home, and I was sitting on my mother's couch, and I was listening to Music Choice on demand, and I remember just listening, and I was a rap fan, but not really, I guess you could say, and I remember listening, and I truly just picked up this pen and this notebook from the closet, and I just started writing rhymes, and they, didn't make sense. They were about things that, I mean, a lot of stuff about like guns and stuff that I never even really ever did. I mean, but from there, I just kind of took it and ran, and I just started writing about my life. And, at that time I was introduced to a 12-step program, and they would always talk about honesty. You have to let things out in order to grow. And I just took that and ran with it. And I really just started talking about my life, all my insecurities, how I felt, how I wanted to die, how I was depressed, through the previous years. And then I would talk about recovery, and I would just, anything that I went through and anything that I was currently going through, I started writing, regardless of how it made me look to other people. I wasn't ever afraid of people talking bad about me. I wasn't ever afraid of, all of that, the embarrassment, because I was getting freedom by talking about my life. They talk about how, secrets die in the light of exposure. And that's exactly what I did. I had absolutely no secrets because I talked about everything I've ever been through. And I felt by doing that, no one could ever put me down because it's already out there. It's already on the internet. So it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, and it shows, I mean, it's a testimony to where you're at now. I mean, it's awesome. I relate to your music so much, man, on so many levels. So,
Thank you.
What was the big turning point for you? Like, what led up to where you were like, look, I gotta do something different?
I mean, I feel like there's been so many of them, over the last 15 years, because, my first attempt at getting clean, like I said, I think I was 23. My sister got clean. She's been clean ever since, roughly 15, 16 years now. But
that's awesome.
So I followed her into the rooms, and, I've had a year clean, 3.5 years clean, 2.5 years clean, a year clean, and now I have over 5 years clean. So I feel like there are many of them moments in my life where I felt like I had to change. Specifically this last time though, I just, could only do damage for so long. It's like I grew a conscience, while, being clean and, and trying this new way of life. But I mean, I talked to numerous, struggling addicts and alcoholics, on a daily basis. And, the only thing I can really, the shortest version is just, I was so tired of the pain. I was so tired of living the life that I was living. Like I seriously had no friends, no money. I burned every single bridge. Like I honestly was just a pathetic waste of space, a human being. And, I didn't want to live like that. And I mean, on top of waking up dope sick every single morning and throwing up bow into the toilet and never having $1 to my name and just having to commit crimes every day just to feel normal, like literally just to feel normal, I had to go through all this work. And I'll tell you, like, once my sister got clean and stayed clean, I seen that, like, she let me know that it really was possible, because she used with me every day for years, just as bad as me. And I knew she could do it, then I could too. And then once I actually started putting some days together, then I realized how much more beautiful this life is than opposed to using.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's a daily grind of, like you said, just hustling to get high, and then you wake up and it's a repeat cycle. So I guess what you work in, how did you get working in? Do you work in treatment now?
I do. So I do outreach for a treatment center So I'm constantly talking and messaging with people all day, every day. I get a lot of messages, obviously, on my Colichie Facebook, so I really just, try to find them resources, whatever that may be, depending on, where they're at in the country, depending on, how willing they are, and I spend a lot of time doing that. I spend a lot of time writing and and doing my music. Of course, I haven't really traveled much since COVID, but I usually am traveling a lot, and honestly, all my spare time I'm hanging out with my 3-year-old.
You've had a ton of success, I mean, with your music. You really, I mean, you got like over 200K subscribers on your YouTube. I mean, that it's amazing, man. I mean, you could look in the comments, you definitely you help reach a lot of people that way, man. And I love seeing somebody put positive music out there, because you know what I mean? Like, to me, a lot of the music I used to listen to, it's almost like a trigger to me to some point. You know what I mean? So I love, that people's putting out music like what you're doing, man.
Thank you. And I and like, I say this all the time, but like I never in a million years thought that I would be where I'm at with my music. I mean, truly, I've never thought, I was just talking to someone a half an hour ago about consistency and how important it is, and everything in my life, all the rewards and the blessings that I have in my life are from just being consistent, whether it was my music, whether it was spending literally hundreds of hours in a parked car listening to an instrumental, at 1 o'clock at night. I mean, I did that for years. I would sit in my vehicle and I would just write, song after song, year after year, with no audience for 10 years, nobody listening to my music, but I just continued to push forward and just make music. Cause in the end, like, it really did free me up. It made me feel whole. To one day, so many, attracting so many people, that's such a blessing in itself, and just being consistent in my recovery, all the times that I fell with multiple years clean, and just really pushing myself to get back to where I once was, and to do better than I did yesterday. I can get so caught up in life with how busy I can be and all that. But like, at the end of the day, it really is just a true miracle that I'm so fortunate to not wake up dope sick, and to, have the support and the love that I have in my life today. Because like I said before, I literally was just, like walking around like a dead person, a zombie. I was really just this big piece of shit that nobody liked,
Yeah, no, you're just existing. I know exactly where what you're talking about. And it's so cool to see the change, just to have some stability in a normal life where you're taking care of stuff and you're paying your bills and taking care of your kids.
Yeah.
That's a blessing compared to being on the street and having to have that daily grind of, like you said, having to commit crimes just to get your fix, and then, do it all over again. So what's your biggest advice to anyone that's out there that's struggling or on the fence about trying to get into recovery? I mean, you got any advice?
I mean, my biggest advice is, before anything, is to reach out to somebody you trust to direct you in the right direction. And, if you're unsure about, being able to even get clean or anything, like, you'll never know until you try. Like, you really will never know. Like, cause like I said, I didn't think it was possible for me because of how, like, bad of an addict I thought I was in my own head, and I'm not minimizing, who I was as an addict, because it was bad. But I mean, we all think that way. And, is to really just reach out to someone that you trust to, really get you help, and if you're dealing with a deadly substance like fentanyl or something, I mean, alcohol or anything, I mean, I would definitely suggest inpatient treatment. I mean, that's what saved my life so many times, and then from there, just your aftercare program of, it's really up to you. But, for me, it was, a 12-step fellowship, and from there, I found literally everything, how to deal with everything in my life, quitting drugs for me and alcohol was just the beginning. After that, I had to learn how to live life. I had to learn how to write a check. I had to learn how to call the water company to turn my water on. Like, I knew nothing. I seriously knew nothing about living life because all I did was get high. That was my only goal. And there's this huge, amazing, big world going on that I never participated in, and then after I got clean, I found not that I was behind like late in the game or whatever you want to say, but I didn't know the basic things about being an adult. And I learned all of that by constantly not picking up the first one and asking others for advice. And, it's been, to this day, there's just so much stuff that I don't know. And when I don't know something, I reach out to somebody that has personal experience with it and somebody that has done it and has succeeded with it. I mean, whatever it is, whatever.
Yeah. Well, the one thing, you touched on that you were part of a 12-step, and I believe that helps so much because that gives us, a support network we normally don't have. We're not used to as addicts to have that support. And I believe that's a key to someone really having long-term success, is making sure to have people that's successful that you can, like you said, reach out to.
Yeah, absolutely. And and obviously I pay attention online with everything that's going on. And, a lot of people will say that that it's not for them, or that, a lot of people would say it's not for them, or really people that have never even gave it a shot. And, once again, I'm just speaking from my own personal experience, all the hundreds and hundreds of people I know in the city of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, that are in one of the fellowships, or whatever you want to say, I've seen so much success come along with it. I've also seen a lot of relapses. I've also seen a lot of death, but everyone in my life that is clean, which is 95% of people in my life, have been involved or are involved in some type of, program. And I know so for myself, it's really what has kept my head afloat, and since COVID, I really haven't got a chance to make it to too many meetings, meaning I've probably been to maybe 30 meetings in the last 8 months. But, before that, even with years clean, even with traveling all over the country, I was still making it to, 2 to 3 meetings a week. Because it's I know I'll never have this. I know that I'll never be cured. I know all of that. So I have to always be self-aware, the awareness that I have in my life, and it could be with a behavior, with a defect, or anything. I can't get caught off. I can't be thrown off my square and, become ungrateful and get the F it attitude. And because I'm telling you, that's where it all starts with me. That's where it will all start with me, just getting that F it attitude. And then what follows that is I might as well just use,
Yeah.
and so many times.
Yeah. When we start thinking we have it, I'm glad you said that, you gotta do this the rest of your life, because it's a key to it. I definitely believe that myself. So
yeah, once again, to just stay consistent with everything that I'm doing, and that includes self-care, and that includes self-love and all that. And I do a lot of that through by being in recovery.
that's awesome, man. That's awesome. Well, I appreciate your time, man. I'd love to have you back on maybe in the future, but keep putting out the music, man, because like I said, I love having the positive music to listen to.
Thank you. Yeah, I plan. I just moved, and so I'm in the process of building my home studio. I do half my music with my friend Casey in Connecticut, and then the other half I do at my house. And I plan on doing a lot of music this year. And putting out twice as much as last year. So I most definitely will.
Yeah. Share, what's life like now? Is there any comparison real quick before we go?
No, my life from now to even when I had 2 years clean has changed so much, let alone from my life.
It gets better so fast. You know what I mean?
It does, but I don't want people to get discouraged if, they feel like it doesn't and they have X amount of years clean, or, even if someone has 7 years clean, but they find themselves, jobless or penniless or something along them lines. Like, you know, I really do believe in seasons with everything. There's ups and downs. It fluctuates. Life really is a roller coaster. But it just, it feels like, you know, so much good stuff has happened for me personally. You know, a lot of bad things have happened. You know, the death of, you know, so many close friends. But like, other than that, man, it really, like, I see the blessings and even all the tragedies. And I truly, my perception today about everything, including the world and, you know, my spot in it, you know, it just has changed so much. The way I think has changed so much. And that truly is probably the biggest positive thing that has happened to me, is just how I view everything. Because I could view everything in a negative attitude, but really have everything that I need and still be miserable, you know? So it's important that I always remain grateful, always.
You got to have that gratitude, man.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, man, I appreciate your time, man.
Absolutely.